What's up, everybody, and thank you, hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever type of day it is, to another episode of the Wrestling Exchange, episode 38. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Before we get any further, I'd like to go ahead, take a moment, and bring on my co-host, ladies and gentlemen.
Papo in the house. Welcome back, everybody. Let's get this started. We got a nasty show for you tonight.
Papa, this show is hella nasty. We got a lot to talk about. We got the Darren Young Twitter thing. We got the China interview with Vince Russo. We got Raw. We got predictions for Fastlane. All sorts of stuff that I want to get into. But first, before we do that, a little disclaimer. This is a passionate discussion between two wrestling fans about wrestling. Sometimes bad language happens. You know, four little words that begin with F, rhyme with uck. And that's a thing that happens here. And if you're not comfortable with that, well, then, ladies and gentlemen, we got two words for you.
I'm going to bring one back. Come, junkie.
Boom. I love it. Now, that being said, I do want to remind you that if you like what you see here at any point and, you enjoy what we're doing, whatever, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. That's the like guy. Really helps us out. And while you're at it, go ahead and click that subscribe button. And what that does is that means that anytime we put up a video, you get an email saying, hey, these motherfuckers just put a video out. And then you can watch it whenever or wherever at your own personal leisure. You can go ahead and check us out on the Facebook page. I've included the link to that down below in the description box. You can also visit our Patreon page. Papo, you and I, we want to improve the production value on this show. Is that not correct?
That is absolutely correct.
And an easy way to do that, when we're talking getting microphones, we're talking getting mic stands, we're talking about getting better equipment, better cameras, sound, lighting, all that good stuff. Basically, what we want to do is we want to enhance the experience that you're getting right now. And a way to really help us out, like if you have some ducats and you're just jiggling around in your pockets, go ahead and visit our Patreon page. That's P as in Peter, ATREON.com/TedandPapo. That's TEDANDPAPO. You can give a small donation, big donation, whatever you like. But we do have a particular goal which will help us purchase certain products to enhance the quality of this show. That being said, Papo, are we done with all of our plugs?
We are done with all our plugs. This is about to get his out right nizow Tedski.
I don't understand that.
I've got a little snoopish. A snoopish.
A little bit of that shiz.
For shizzle.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about some serious stuff. I want to take a moment and get balls deep, if you will. And speaking of balls deep,
if you will,
we're going to talk about the recent Twitter situation with Darren Young. Now, for those of you who don't know, Darren Young is WWE's first current roster openly gay wrestler. And there was recently a kind of tiff on the Twitter. Papa, were you aware of any of this at all?
I got a brief synopsis about it. I didn't go into much detail, but I know you got the full load on that, so go ahead and shoot him in the face.
Dude, balls deep. Let's talk about that. So basically, I'm getting my notes here. What I'm about to say is my opinion. Granted, this is a wrestling opinion show. We review Raw. We talk about upcoming events in the world of wrestling, and we also talk about our opinion. So I very much want to stress that this is our opinion, regardless of what anybody thinks. It's not anything other than our opinion as passionate wrestling fans. So here's what happened. Darren Young, he was not happy with the recent tour that WWE made to Abu Dhabi, which is in a place called the United Arab Emirates. And he had this to say, and this is a direct quote from his Twitter. Quote, "Why do we bring the best entertainment into a country like Abu Dhabi when they look down upon women and gays? I get it. Hashtag millions of dollars." Is that a smart thing for him to say?
Negator.
Good. I'm glad you're with me on it because I want to take a moment and get into the rest of it because that's what he said. And then he was basically forced by WWE to delete the tweets, and WWE released their own statement. Quote, WWE does not discriminate against individuals regardless of age, race, religion, or sexual orientation, and we continue to proudly support Fred Rosser, aka Darren Young, moving my iPad here, for being open about his sexuality. Unfortunately, WWE cannot change cultures and laws around the world, and thus we did not send Fred Rosser to the United Arab Emirates for upcoming events for his own protection. WWE fully supports Fred Rosser's right to express his views on personal social media accounts rather than WWE's corporate platforms. Now, before we really get into our opinions, there's one other thing that happens. He makes that tweet. They make him take it down. They issue a statement, and then he posts two more tweets. The first one, my freedom of speech is gone but not forgotten. And the second, I feel like no one has my back, and it upsets me. The struggle is real. I'm human. So, Papo, what I'd like to do is to take a moment and you and I give our opinions about this because I think you and I are in a unique position because there's a lot of people on the interwebs that basically I don't want to say that they blindly defend are the wrong words, but it's the closest thing I can come up with. But people seem to be, in my opinion, kind of giving Darren Young too much credit here. And I say this not because of his sexuality. I don't even think what he said was wrong. My beef is not my beef, but my deal with it is that he made those tweets on a Twitter account under a false name and character, a likeness, if you will.
If you will.
That, quite frankly, he does not own, right? That's not his name. His name's Fred Rosser. WWE admits that in their statement. And he basically uses his WWE name, which is, I mean, you can say whatever you want, but at the end of the day, that's like the extension of a corporate Twitter. And, you know, if he wanted to, I think the situation here is that if he wanted to post as Fred Rosser, I don't think that there would be cause for concern, right? Because then if WWE said something, well, then it's like, well, nobody knows him as Fred Rosser. But the fact that he did it on his corporate-owned account, for lack of better terms, kind of not the brightest move, and I don't know about you, Papa, but makes him look like an idiot.
Touche.
Now, Papa, you and I both work for a Fortune 100 billion dollar company, do we not?
Yes, we do.
We're not going to name names, but we do. You and I, in this position, I think, have a unique understanding because for us, if we post on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, whatever the social media platforms kids are using these days, if we post something negative or throw any kind of shade on the corporation that we work for, we could legitimately be terminated, like on the spot. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
So, I want people to understand. I don't think he's wrong in the sense of his opinion because everybody's entitled to it. Free speech, yada yada yada. But I think you can't cry free speech when you're posting as a character that you have ultimately no rights to, you don't own, somebody else owns it, and it makes them look bad, not you.
I'm in total agreement with you, man. Total agreement.
Speaking of total agreement, which is a terrible segment, we also have some breaking news. Catastrophic coverage of Joan Lauer, a.k.a. formerly known as China, the porn star, if you will.
If you will.
She had a recent appearance on Vince Russo's podcast, basically did like an interview format, and she had made some allegations which were ironic because this is all occurring in the wake of Triple H basically, saying in the Austin interview, which we're going to get more in depth on another video, so stay tuned for that. But he basically said that as far as China being in the Hall of Fame, yes, she deserves it in the sense that she accomplished something that no other woman has and no other woman will, and it's a big deal. But at the end of the day, she's doing hardcore porn, and I think that's the distinction. It's not that she's posing nude, because they've had shit. Shawn Michaels posed nudes in Playgirl, like in '96. I remember that became like a part of the storyline with him and Bulldog. Yeah, it was like they were doing the philandering Shawn Michaels, where Jim Cornette accused him specifically of being a philanderer, trying to get with Davey Boy's bust-ass wife. But, or bust-ass widow now. Sorry, too soon. I don't think it's so much the nudity as it is the hardcore porn. I mean, because that's like an entirely different realm. Do you think that's fair to say?
It's fair.
So what I have here is a basic transcript of what she said, and she said a lot. And I'm not gonna read everything she says, but I'm gonna read the nuts and bolts of it. And this is verbatim, okay? So Vince Russo says, walk me through that day because I want people to really understand what you had to go through, blah, 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 referring, of course, to the day in question where this allegation is made. So she says, she basically says that she thinks, okay, here we go. Quote, I think Hunter's plan, Hunter, Triple H, was to get me to leave the relationship first, and that way he could start dating Stephanie, referring, of course, Stephanie McMahon, and everything would be cool. We got into an argument, and we were not getting along, and I told him, I know something's going on, don't tell me. And then basically she says that he swiped her hand, and she swiped his hand, and she says, quote, he swiped my hand, I swiped his hand, he hit me. Then she says that she basically thought the relationship was over, but she knew she had to leave, but she wanted to get some closure, and she comes across a letter, as she calls it, a love letter, in Triple H's, again, this is all supposedly. We don't know if this happened or not. She has been accused of mental illness in the past. Not saying she is or isn't, but that's a thing. So she, having fun over there.
Tic Tacs, orange. Boom!
Tic Tac break. So she basically says that she read this love letter from Stephanie to Hunter, and she said it dated a year back, and that she called Vince McMahon, got him out of a meeting, and Vince says, China, what's so important that you have to talk to me right now? Quote, I told him, and I was thinking, he of course doesn't know, Hunter's not going to be dating his daughter. It's a secret, he's going to be on my side. And then he basically tells her, I hope you don't lose your job over this. Then she ends up going to Raw, and everybody kind of knows, right? She refers to this as the part of Red Sea. So, like, imagine China's walking down a hallway, and I think she even mentions, like, Steve Blackman by name, which I wish we had Steve Blackman back on my wrestling TV today. But that being said, and she says that everybody pretty much knew the deal, and she didn't. And she went into the bathroom, and she's crying on the pot. Piss pot. And Stephanie comes in, they talk, and then basically Stephanie takes her to her room and then starts yelling at her. And what she says is hilarious because she says that with the exception of Triple H picking up Sean Waltman, a.k.a. X-Pac, she hasn't spoken to Hunter since that point, Hunter being, again, Triple H. She says, so Stephanie McMahon says her bit, and then she says, quote, this is China talking. And I was like, whoa. First of all, his name's Paul. We have a house together. We're going to get married. We have this life together. Then there's a confrontation with her, Stephanie, and Vince. And then she says, quote, this is her saying what Vince says. Quote, don't worry about a thing. Everything's going to be okay. Go home and we'll send you the contract via fax. Then she says, quote, then I'm in Jerry's Deli a week later, and I'm with a particular agent, and lo and behold, I get a fax saying, thanks, but no thanks, we don't need you anymore. You're still under contract, but we don't need you anymore, so basically F you. So ultimately what this, and there's more to it, but ultimately what this interview is basically about is that she's making an accusation that's 15 years old. Now, Papo, I haven't heard this before. Have you heard these words come out of her mouth before? Is this news to you?
This is news to me. I never heard it before.
Okay, so I've got a couple of questions that I want to ask you, being that I actually got a chance to listen to some of the audio, so I want to bounce a couple of questions off you and get what you think. So the first part is, let's see here. Sorry, I'm like flipping through my notes. Okay, so they dated officially from 96 to 2000, China and Triple H, right? So this is a story that I've not heard, you've not heard, she's not said, and this incident would have occurred around 15 years ago. Doesn't it seem fishy that 15 years later she tells this story without mention of like a gag order or like some sort of clause where she couldn't talk about it? Doesn't it seem a little suspect that it's coming up now all of a sudden?
It does seem suspicious. I mean, there should have been at least a leak somewhere of any type of the show. Any type of that situation, there should have been some sort of leak somewhere. But nothing. Not even a peep. Beep.
Now, I'm sure you're with me on this. This is our opinion, having heard the story, right? So we're not saying whether it's true, whether it's not true. We don't know. We weren't there. This is, you know, there's what's the famous saying? There's two sides to every story, right?
Right.
So we don't know what's going on. So we're not saying this did happen. We're also saying this not that this didn't happen. Now, here's a couple of things that pop out to me aside from the 15-year gap. Now, she also says that this particular letter she read that was written by Stephanie to Triple H was, she said it was dated a year back. Those were her exact words. Now, I don't know if she means Stephanie like dated, put the date at the top of the letter, which would make no sense because at that time, if you do the math, Stephanie would have been about 23, a little old for that shit. And but it is also possible that Stephanie's referencing stuff in the letter that would kind of like piece together a timeline, right? It could be either way.
Right.
Now, what's weird is that she also, there's a point where Stephanie's talking and she keeps referring to Triple H as Hunter to Stephanie, to China. And China like cuts her off at one point and she's like, his real name's Paul, his name isn't Hunter. But she says, like, I swear to you, you could count. She calls him Hunter like at least 8 times. And it just seems a little odd. Like this whole thing, like, again, we're not saying it did happen, it didn't happen, but something just doesn't seem on the up and up about this.
Well, the only explanation that I can think of is that she wants the audience to know that it's Hunter, it's Triple H. Now, if she referred to him as Paul, new viewers may not catch on as quickly as we would.
Ooh, do you think she's working the kayfabe?
Probably.
She's like, not Paul Levesque. We're talking about that guy that runs the Authority.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Well, what was he? He was the something. He was the blue blood, the something blue blood. When he was doing the whole curtsy and shit.
For real.
Now, here's my last thought about this, and I want to get your opinion before we move on, because after this we're gonna jump right into Raw, and then after our coverage of Raw, we're gonna go over our review or predictions for WWE Fastlane. Now, this audio, or video rather, this conversation is behind a paywall. Now, that means that if the story is true, right, if we are to believe that this event occurred, does that not make Vince Russo a piece of shit for making money off of someone's abuse?
A big piece of shit.
Big, steamy, not even solidified shit. Just like liquid shit. Like real gross.
I was going to say with corn.
Dude, corn is one of those things. You'd be surprised what doesn't break down. Like, I don't want to get all gross and stuff, but let me put it to you this way. I used to work in a geriatric facility where we had to take care of the elderly, and sometimes you'd notice that not even pills break down in the body. Sometimes they come out whole, too. But if it's not true, right, if it's an allegation, then that still makes him a piece of shit, because now he's charging money to tell a lie.
That's even worse, dude. I mean, that's like just dishonorable.
He doesn't come out looking good any way you slice it.
Whether you try it like this or like this, it's not gonna come out nice.
Dude, even if you give it all 8 slices, it doesn't matter. It still comes out bad. Speaking of coming out bad, we got to talk about John Cena and the opening of Raw. So you ready to take a moment and just get balls deep up in this Raw coverage, and then afterwards we can go ahead and dive right into our Fastlane predictions?
Let's go ahead and do this.
Boom. All right. So Raw's filmed live from Orlando, Florida, and John Cena comes out. Obligatory 10-minute John Cena promo. So I'm only going to touch on a couple of things he says here. Cena plays a clip of Rusev kicking his ass last week, leaving him with a scratched cornea. Now, quickly, I don't remember them ever explaining the deal with his eye, because last week he already had a fucked up eye. Do you remember anything else being mentioned that would help explain why he had the pink eye?
No, I can't remember anything, but I do remember where Rusev did jab him in his good eye.
If it is pink eye, which it kind of looked like pink eye, wouldn't that mean that Nikki Bella was farting into his pillows, getting all that poo particles?
Ew. He's fine as hell, but I wouldn't let her shit on me.
Maybe Paige.
Fuck that.
Oh, come on. What's wrong with a Cleveland steamer? What's a Cleveland steamer between fans and WWE superstar? So he admits Rusev crushed him, but he says, no more. Just like the Holocaust. Never again. He says that the idea that Rusev being an unstoppable monster is a bunch of crap. And he promises to basically beat the shit out of Rusev. And not just beat him, but take the U.S. title from him. He says that this Sunday there will be no smiles. You will only see reckless abandon. I make history to become the first man to beat Rusev, and I get to fight to win the United States Championship. Now, Rusev comes out, and there's a response to this, but a couple of quick things here. He talks about in this promo, he says people are asking, when is John Cena going to change? And he's like, I won't change, blah, blah, blah. Basically referring to the idea that John Cena should turn heel, which is never going to happen. If we haven't gotten it now, it's never going to happen. That being said, and I thought the Undertaker streak would never be defeated or stopped, but that's kind of how it is. Obviously John Cena is really good at promos, but did you feel like, did he ever give you the impression during this promo that there is a chance that he's going to beat Rusev at Fastlane? Or that he's going to beat Rusev cleanly at Fastlane?
Honestly, dude, you and I both know that he is number one for broken promises. The number one for broken promises. So, with that momentum going, I would like to see Rusev hold on to that belt and beat the crap out of Appledough.
Appledough! So let's talk about that, right? I think it's not just that John Cena is bad at making promises. I think that it's this 50-50 thing, right? Where he comes out and there's always the dueling chants, right? There's the let's go Cena sucks. There's people that love him, people that hate him. But he's also kind of 50-50 when it comes to being a babyface because he's not really good at it, right? He doesn't protect his friends. He doesn't help out his buddies when they're in need. And he doesn't keep his word. I mean, those are the those are pretty terrible. Those are pretty terrible aspects of a babyface, right?
Yo, he doesn't fit the babyface profile at all. Right now, he is just a franchise because of his face. I mean, as of right now, Mr. Appledough, I mean, a face is supposed to back up his friends. I have not seen him back up anybody unless it was for his own intention. So,
dude, He barely came out to save Edge, whom he embraced like 40 minutes earlier in the show when Rollins threatened to kill him.
Yeah.
Edge, a guy who can't fight back because he's in WWE kayfabe lore, like his neck is super fragile.
Yeah, Mr. Appledale came out for a brief second, and let me tell you, he couldn't even save Edge.
He couldn't, but that was probably the best hostage segment I've ever seen on Raw. A lot of people shit on it. I thought it was fantastic. But in the interest of time, I do want to continue with what happened here because Cena says his stuff. Lana comes out and she basically says this is typical John Cena rhetoric, right? Your problem is you live in a delusional world where your cup is half full, while Rusev and I, we live in reality. He is the super athlete. He's the greatest U.S. champion. He's superior to any other WWE superstar, including yourself, the man that never gives up. I know you've always come back from your beatings, but this time there is no coming back. And then Rusev gets on the mic. Now, as good as Lana is, I think you and I can agree she's like top tier as far as being on the microphone as a manager. How close is Rusev in terms of being able to talk shit up compared to Lana? Do you think he's anywhere close?
Well, you're comparing oranges to apples. He doesn't really have much mic skills, but the mic skills are to the point, and just leave it at that. Don't let him talk any more than he has to. Let his skills work.
He doesn't fuck around with his words, right? Like, if anything, he'll make his direct point, and then if he's going to do any additional talking, it's usually just angry gibberish or angry Bulgarian gibberish. I say gibberish because I don't know what the fuck he's saying. But, I mean, it seems pretty clear that even though he may not be the best mic guy, as far as how he handles working on the microphone, I think he's just as good as anybody in his role right now.
Fair enough.
So Rusev says, I don't need your USA, because they're chanting USA at him. John Cena this Sunday, I will destroy you and everything you stand for. Your body, your spirit, your little will to live will be crushed. Now, John Cena cuts him off, and he says, you've won a lot of fights, but you never had your ass kicked. I'm going to come up there and kick your... actually, no, that's not what he says. He says, quote, you make so much as one more move, I'm going to come up there, and you're going to get your ass kicked. Papo, Rusev didn't move at all, and then John Cena came at him anyway.
Yeah.
I was waiting for So he comes at him, and they kind of fight at the top of the ramp. He throws Rusev into that kind of LED display. A couple of referees come out, and it's funny that last week Bray Wyatt exposes the concrete, goes to do something to Dolph Ziggler on it, and the referees tell him no, and he's like, oh, okay, I guess I won't do it. And then referees come out to stop John Cena from beating up Rusev, and all John Cena does is fucking point at him. And they're like, whoa, don't point at me, Cena. You know what I mean? Does it not seem weird to you? I'm just taking this shit.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Don't tase me, bro. So John Cena basically gets on top of Rusev and punches the shit out of his face. And you can actually hear him say, you think you're untouchable? Every man can be beat. And that's the end of that segment. So this whole segment, the Cena promo, the Lana promo, the Rusev promo, all getting us to where we need to be in Fastlane. All three things, as far as getting us ready for the pay-per-view, pass or fail?
I'm going to give this one a pass. I am so waiting to see Appledore get beat down.
I just want to see him tap out. I just want to see him give up. That's all I want.
And the camel clutch is going to be awesome.
Dude, and I don't want to see anybody throw in the towel. I don't want to see him pass out. And I say I don't want to see him pass out because we've seen, like, legitimately at least 6 people get lose consciousness in that hold. And those 6 people, at least that was done to them at least twice. So you're looking at, like, almost 12 different people this is happening to. You know what I mean?
At least 12 people.
So all I want to see is him tap out. Now, we got a Dean Ambrose video segment where he's sitting behind a desk, kind of like an anchor man. And we're gonna get into what he said, but this was classic, right? Like I feel like they finally, with this show, they've kind of figured out how Ambrose works and needs to be presented. Because I felt for a while they didn't quite know what they were doing. But does it feel like they've finally able to understand how to present the character, his motivations, and just his wackiness?
Yes, I mean they found a comedic bit for him that actually works with the lunatic unfringe, if you will.
If you will, it's almost like it's not outright trying to do comedy wrestling. It's just figure out what this guy does well, let him do it, and it's going to come off as funny, right? Because Jim Cornette makes the point. He says funny doesn't make money, and I tend to agree with him, right? I think wrestling can be funny, but like the goal of wrestling shouldn't be funny, because when it's organic, it's beautiful. That's what we like. But when it's like forced funny, it's really awful. So he basically says, this just in, Bad News Barrett keeps ducking Dean Ambrose's challenge for an Intercontinental title match. Sources say Ambrose has already defeated one former IC champion, Curtis Axel. Reportedly, he's going to defeat another IC champion tonight, Luke Harper. In other related news, tonight Bad News Barrett will sign his contract to face Dean Ambrose at Fastlane for the Intercontinental title, whether he likes it or not. To see this historic signing, stay tuned. Back to you, Carlos. I kind of almost felt like they should have cut to the Spanish announce team, Carlos Cabrera.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Especially if Carlos just has this shocked look on his face, like I just speak Spanish.
No comprende, no comprende.
Dude, that should be like a segment.
¿Cómo se dice?
It should be just like a running segment where you film Dean Ambrose like at the WWE studio doing random things, and he keeps referring to Carlos Cabrera, and he's just like, I don't know.
You just have him sitting there like.
So after that, we get the actual match. We get Dean Ambrose versus Luke Harper. I'm going to say, as far as all the matches of the show, probably one of the more underrated. I think this was the match that a lot of people slept on. I don't want to get into what exactly happened just yet, because I just want to talk about how you felt about the match.
This match was given a bit more time. It would have been a complete clinic. These two went at it like nobody's business. No slip spots, clean. I didn't see not one stiff at all. Excellent match. This match here, I would recommend for this to be Dean Ambrose's first title defense.
Oh, wait, against Luke Harper?
Yes.
I'm down. Do that at a pay-per-view and make it like give him 10, 15 minutes.
I'll go as far as 15, 20 minutes. Let them go at each other.
They're not going to do that unless they put him in the main event, which you know they're not going to do anymore since that last time. So there's a couple of things that happen in this match. Basically, Ambrose comes out to the ring and he's got his contract on a clipboard. He leaves the clipboard with the commentary team. And Papo, I want to quickly ask you, because the story that I got from what they were trying to tell was that basically there was no way that Ambrose could match strength with Luke Harper, right? Luke Harper was just more agile, stronger, faster, bigger, better. But the only thing that worked to Ambrose's advantage and allowed Ambrose to pick up the win is that he kind of has this, what's the word? Not unique, but this unconventional style of offense.
Unorthodox.
Boom. There it is. It's only because his style is so unorthodox, and that plays to the lunatic fringe character. I think it worked out very well, and I'm going to say this was probably second to best match of the night. it easily ties the Roman Reigns match.
Yeah, but the Roman Reigns match, we'll get into that. But this one, I'll say, is in my top 5.
Of the night?
Yeah, I right now, I don't have a number 1 as of yet, but when we get into the Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan match, I'll explain more into detail on how these two were actually a tie for first.
Fair enough. Long story short, Ambrose picks up the win with the Dirty Deeds, which is the double arm DDT. Afterwards, we see Triple H and Kane backstage. They're talking about something. Big Show comes up, and they basically act like giant 6-year-olds. In fact, even Triple H accuses them of being like giant 6-year-olds. And they're like, well, you did this and you did that. I don't like you. And it was just like, ugh. So, only because with this doesn't show any depth with these two characters. Yes, we get to see that there's infighting in the Authority, but that's, I don't want to say lame, but that's easy, right? We've seen that before. We'd like to see a little bit more. I would kill to see Kane turn on the Authority and put the fucking mask back on, or put a new mask on, right? And Big Show's turned babyface and heel 46 times in the past 2 years, so who knows what's going on. But this whole segment was basically there to kind of further what the matches we were going to see. Basically, Triple H says he's going to take care of Sting, Show's going to take care of Daniel Bryan, and Kane's going to take care of Roman Reigns. And again, angst between members or among members of the Authority, and that was pretty much that. Can we move on from this, or is there anything else you wanted to mention?
Let's please move on from this.
All right. Well, speaking of moving on, we get to see the first in a series of 3 Bray Wyatt promos this night. The camera pans in. Wyatt's holding a nail. And he says, what happened to you was such a tragedy. It still stirs the rage deep inside of me. It makes me want to do horrible things. You are an empty shell, and any fear I once had for you has turned to pity. It's coming. Now, you don't see what he's doing. He's just playing with the nail. A lot of people, and I've spoken to some people who are like, who is he talking about? Is it not clear by this point in his promos in the past week that he's talking about The Undertaker without getting into the rest of the promos of the night?
Are you serious? You don't know who he's talking about? That is like so transparent.
No, I know who he's talking about. But like there are people out there that have no idea.
Sorry.
Okay. We also get to see right after this. We get to see Stardust and brother Cold Dust. Cold. Did I say Cold Dust?
Yes, you did.
Wonderful.
That's a question.
So, dude, you can get cold dust, hot dust, wet dust, dry dust. You can have Dusty Rhodes just be Dust or Old Dust. And
don't forget the sister, Dust Bunny.
And Damian Sandust.
There you go.
or Damian Mizdust. I don't know. So Goldust basically tells Cody, Stardust, I've been where you're headed, okay? You don't want to go to that place. And then we get to see the American Dream, Daddy. We're talking about the Dusty Rhodes, patriarchal Rhodes family, baby. He says, I'm not going to do the Dusty voice. He says, you guys know why I'm here. The Rhodes family is broke, and we need to fix it. Stardust, of course, does his creepy little giggle, and then he does his, he blows his dust, I don't know, and then he's fired up. He says, damn it, Cody, that's what I'm talking about. I'm your father. All the paint, all the galaxy, all the stars, everything you look up to mean nothing without family. Because it's common blood here, talking about their blood. That's the common man, son of a plumber. And he says, no matter what goes down, I love you both.
Both.
Goldust, I love you both. I love you. So Goldust says, "Can you do this?" And he goes to do the little finger thing. You know how they do the touch fingers thing?
Yeah.
So he goes to do the finger touch thing, and Stardust, shakes his hand instead. And then Dusty chimes in, "That's what I'm talking about. Now go out there and show them what the Rhodes family is all about. Stand together." And then we get New Day versus
New Day.
versus the Dust Brothers with their father Dusty watching on a TV monitor backstage. Now this match would have felt like filler had it not gone to advance a particular story. So I'm not really concerned with the match or really what happened, except for there's basically a spot right at the end where Stardust goes to hit one of the members of the New Day with a variation of the disaster kick, right? And then, oh, okay, yeah, he's going to hit Kofi with it. So Kofi ducks, and Cody almost hits Goldust with it. And then there's a moment between them, and then Stardust leaves. And as soon as Stardust leaves, Kofi hits Goldust with the Trouble in Paradise kick. New Day picks up the win. So New Day gets a win. It makes them look strong, I guess, right? So that's a win for them, but it's also a win for the Dust Brothers because we get to advance this particular storyline that you and I have been dreaming and talking about. And we had a really awesome moment. Let's talk about that. What were you feeling when you got to see these two men interacting with each other as brothers after the match?
I didn't really think too much about it. I'm more of an action guy, if you will.
Oh, I will.
And I just want to see these two brothers go at it. I fought with my brothers plenty of times, so I want to see two other brothers go at it. I want to see these two faced ass clowns get in the ring and put on a fucking clinic.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. I dug it, right? Because as much as I like the in-ring stuff, the bell-to-bell wrestling stuff, I don't say like I'm a drama geek, but I can really appreciate the story that they were telling here, right? Because at the end, because for a while they were telling the story that, and I think this may have been before Cody became Stardust, is that he saw himself as the weak link in the team. Like way back. And then they had this you're not the weak link, you're just, young and inexperienced, whatever. Then he transforms into Stardust. So after the match, they have this beautiful moment where he goes to help Goldust up, right? He goes to help his older brother up, and Goldust is not knocked out on his feet, but can't stand without collapsing under his own weight. Not because he's fat, but because he got his bell rung. He got the shit kicked out of him, and he's vulnerable. I think that's the key part. He's vulnerable here. And then Cody, tries to help him, but Goldust again can't walk on his own. And Cody just kind of hugs him and embraces him for a moment. And then Cody as Stardust then hits Goldust with the Crossroads, which I think is an important distinction to make here, because Papo, correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, yeah, I know. Pardon the pun, Cody's at a crossroads. If there was any more appropriate time to use that move. He's been saying that Stardust is dead, Cody is dead, don't mention Cody, I'm Stardust. And then when he turns on his brother, he does it as Stardust, but using a move that belongs to Cody Rhodes. Did you enjoy this kind of interwoven drama, or do you think it's just like that? Pabo. Whoa! What happened? Can you hear me? Ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize. It looks like my co-host keeps cutting in and out. So yeah, that was basically the event that occurred. So we actually got to see a split between Goldust and Stardust. Really interesting stuff. I dig the drama. My co-host maybe not so much, but I really dug it. Papa, are you with us? Papo. All right. Well, while Papo figures out how to join us and come back, I'm just going to keep this ball rolling in the interest of time. So hopefully he'll come back soon. We also get Roman Reigns being interviewed by Byron Saxton. And it's really interesting stuff because as much as we've kind of debated and pointed out Reigns' weakness in his talking, or at least in his scripting, with the presence of Byron Scott, Jesus Christ, Byron Saxton, it seems to be a much more polished way of talking. It seems very much that Reigns is a little bit more comfortable, and the back and forth, or at least the conversation, is a much more organic, if you will. Papo, if you hear me, why don't you try leaving and then coming back? In fact, I'll take a moment, ladies and gentlemen, to apologize, and I'm gonna resend Papo the invite here. So please forgive us. And this is why we're gonna take a quick plug. Patreon. This is what we'd like to do. If you donate to Patreon, www.patreon.com/TedandPapo, you can help us with equipment to avoid this entirely. Papo, are you with us?
I'm with you. I'm actually on my iPod right now.
Okay, I like that accessibility. I thought I lost you. We started talking about the Roman Reigns stuff. We got to plug the Patreon because if you like what you see here, and you got some jingle jangle in your pockets, I'm not saying you have to, bet the whole farm. I'm not saying you have to go balls deep with your bank account. But if you want to throw us $1, $5, whatever, hey man, that'd be greatly appreciated. And you know what? If you do, we'll give you a shout out on this very show live on air, and this will help us prevent shit like this happening in the future. Papo, we were talking.
Best believe that.
Oh man, you couldn't have made a better segue if you tried, because we're actually talking about Roman Reigns right now. I don't want to get too deep into what he said, but for a guy who we've kind of acknowledged maybe doesn't have the best verbal skills, he actually came off really well in this interview segment with Byron Saxton.
Okay.
No, I'm trying to get your feeling on that. Like, do you think that he came off better than he looked before with the talking and the words, or do you think that this just doesn't really do anything for him? Like, do you think that he comes out looking better, or that this particular promo enhances his ability?
Well, it does. I mean, this interview was one of his better interviews. Not at 100%, but still, I mean, he has been improving on the microphone. I think he got a tutor or something. He got hooked on phonics. So I don't know. Roman, keep moving forward. That's all I got to say about that.
Do you think that, because we've seen him try to have these conversations with other people, do you think that Byron Scott was the perfect person to kind of tailor the conversation towards Roman's strength in his verbiage?
I'm in total agreement with that. Yeah, I mean, he set it up perfectly for him, set up the pins for him to knock him down.
It was very good. And I think it goes to show how good Byron Saxton really is. I've been watching this guy for a while now, and I think he's very talented. So I want to take a moment and just kind of briefly get into what was said. And basically, Reigns says the usual when asked about the Rumble. I beat 29 other superstars, which, unless you're Shawn Michaels, and what year was it that Shawn Michaels entered #1 and legitimately beat 29 other men? Was that 97, 96?
97, 96. Oh my God, I know this, and it's like right here. It's right here. It's right here, damn it. Oh my God.
It's the one that it comes down to like him and Bulldog, right? And like
Yeah.
he like 1 foot touches, and the rule is like both feet have to touch. So he like skins the cat back in and then like eliminates Bulldog. I'm gonna go with 96 or 95.
Yes. We'll go with 96. And you know what? I had this question on Trivia Crack not too long ago, and I got it right.
Dude, that game is legitimate trivia crack.
For real.
So he. I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. Aside from Shawn Michaels going in #1 and staying, going the distance, right? Legitimately being 29 other superstars. This is the thing that kind of annoys me, and I want to get your take on it to see if it annoys anybody else or if I'm just an angry, just annoyed wrestling fan and I have no life. I feel like unless you really did go the distance with 29 other men, like Shawn Michaels, you kind of can't say that. And that's a thing that's said every year, regardless. Is that something to be concerned about, or am I just being ridiculous?
You're just being ridiculous. You're going off on a fucking wrestling fan tangent.
Fuck you.
It's cliche. It's wrestling cliche.
But hey, man, I can't help it. Fuck you. So Saxton basically asked Reigns how he feels about having to face Daniel Bryan, and Reigns says that he wasn't manipulated by the Authority. And then he says something weird that doesn't make any sense. He basically says that the Authority was trying to put Seth Rollins in this spot, which really doesn't make any sense because Seth Rollins wasn't even in the fucking Rumble. And he says that Daniel Bryan had an opportunity, and what Daniel Bryan did was he basically took the opportunity that was available to him. But then he kind of says this weird thing. He says, I have a ton of respect for Bryan, but let's look at it this way. If I was in the Royal Rumble and got thrown over the top rope, I'd take it like a man. I can't say the same about Daniel because I'm fighting him now in Fastlane, and what he needs to realize is that the only person that has a chance of going to WrestleMania is me. Is this just Reigns being heelish? Is this, oh shit, I see you in 2 windows now. Which one are you using? I see iPad and PC.
This one right here. So.
This one right here. So.
Yeah, let me mute this other one here because you're echoing and I'm hearing myself in the background. It's driving me crazy. All right, try it now.
The one that's moving.
Dude, you're both moving. Are we going for the iPad or the PC? Because right now I have the iPad muted, so it's not going to confuse everybody. Is that cool?
Okay.
I'll tell you
How
what,
about that?
We'll just keep it both open, and then God forbid anything happens, you can switch back and forth. So we get a commercial break, and they basically refer to something that happened during the commercial, and they're like, "This just in. This is what happened on the WWE app." And there's a confrontation between Stardust and Dusty Rhodes, and Stardust basically says Cody is gone. Cody was destined to live in the shadows of his polka-dotted freak of a father, and in every sense of the word, the embarrassment of a brother. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of stuff to sit on Mr. Cody Rhodes' shoulders. Forces cause Cody Rhodes to self-destruct. He dances with the stars. Cody Rhodes is dead, and as far as I'm concerned, so is my father. Do you have the iPad? Is that audio still on? Can you mute the iPad, or do you have like computer speakers on in the background?
Can you hear me here?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you, but there just seems to be like an echo. Like I'm hearing myself like a second and a half afterwards echoing on your end.
Is that good, or did you still hear the echo?
Let's see. Nope, it's gone. All right, awesome. So, long story short, Cody Rhodes, Dusty Rhodes, what did you think about this segment?
Well,
Oh no!
I want to just care what they have to say to each other. I just want to see the fight.
You don't care for this drama between the Dustices? You just want to see the match.
See the match, dude. They're watching clowns.
Speaking of clowns, we saw your boy Kane versus Roman Reigns. I don't want to talk too much about this match. So first question, Kane versus Roman Reigns. It's refreshing that it's not Kane versus Daniel Bryan again. How did you feel about the overall match between Kane and Roman Reigns? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it fugly? What was it?
It was good. I mean, they complement each other because they're both big, goofy asses. And they can play to each other's strengths and make each other look really well. My part, which I found entertaining, was Daniel Bryan getting pops from the crowd when he was out there supposedly on commentary.
You know, I'm going to be honest because I think you and I are going to disagree here. I didn't give a shit about this match. And it's not to say that I don't like Roman Reigns or I don't like Kane. I do like them. I do like them both. I think that they have very specific roles, and they need to fill those roles as opposed to others. That being said, where Roman Reigns is now, he needs someone to work around him. Eventually, he can be that guy that can go in there and have a good match with anybody. But as far as I'm concerned, the Roman Reigns that we see right now in February of 2015 isn't the guy to be putting in there with Kane, because Kane's very much the same way. Although Kane can work with anybody, Kane looks best when someone works around him. So I think this is kind of like a not very good matchup. I thought the match was okay. Papo, as far as I'm concerned, I think Daniel Bryan on commentary was the best part of the match.
Yes. I'm in total agreement. That was awesome. I mean,
oh no, we're losing you again. Papo, can you hear me? Oh man, more technical difficulties. Google Hangouts, what are you doing to us? While Papo gets his shit figured out, I'm just going to keep this ball rolling in the meantime, try to save face. Oh, are you with me, Papo? I can't hear you yet, so I'm just going to keep this ball rolling. So pipe up whenever you can, and I'll just shut my fat mouth. So about 45 seconds into the match, Daniel Bryan starts doing the yes chant, which basically distracts Roman Reigns from the match. And then when accused of it on commentary, he says, you know, did I distract Roman Reigns, or did Roman Reigns allow himself to be distracted? You know, if he is what he thinks he is, he should have his eye on the ball. He should have his eye on the prize, and he shouldn't allow himself to be distracted if he is really that accomplished an athlete, or if he thinks he's a real main eventer. And then at one point, the crowd actually breaks out into dueling chants, similar to what we saw a few years ago with Cena, where half of the crowd starts chanting, "You can't wrestle," referring to Roman Reigns, and the other half starts chanting, "Yes, he can." It's very ironic to see this, because that was the dichotomy we have now with Cena, but these words specifically in the past couple of years, I would say probably maybe leading up to his feud with Punk. And I could be wrong. And if I am, you know what? If I'm wrong at any point and I need to be corrected, do me a favor. Let me know. That spot down there, the comment box, just go ahead and clickety-clackety on the keyboard. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if you think my beard is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And while you're there, that thumbs up guy, this guy right here, ho, go ahead and click that. And I wasn't insulting you. I was making an obligatory Jim Duggan reference. Go ahead, click the like button, click the subscribe button. You'll be given an email letting you know whenever we put out an interview, Freudian slip. Whenever we put out a video, and you can go ahead and visit our Patreon page, patreon/TedandPapo. The word "and" is spelled out A-N-D. And if you feel generous and you want to donate, you want to throw $1, maybe 50 cents, maybe $2, whatever, man. Whatever floats your boat. Just know that we're not going to be like paying our bills with that money, because we have jobs. If you donate to the show, this is going to directly help us improve the production quality. This shit that's going on right now, where Papo keeps cutting it out. If you spend some of that bling bling, some of that chingy chang, listen, I'm really bad. I'm really bad with the slang that the young people use nowadays. I'm an old fart, okay? I used to wear Jenko jeans, the big guys. I don't know what the current slang is. Maybe in the 90s. Who knows? Fuck it. Long story short, give me money, and I can buy – that's a terrible pitch. If you donate, we can buy better microphones, okay? We can buy microphone stands. We can get better lighting, okay? You help us meet that goal, and this shit that's going on right now, Papo cutting in and out, being the terrible bastard that he is, and I hope his mother is disappointed in him. If you donate some money, listen, that terrible bastard will improve his quality of life, and you know what? I don't have to deal with this bullshit. He's a friend, but maybe he's not that much of a friend. Feel me? I don't know. Maybe we're butt buddies. Who knows? Papo, are you back yet? Motherfucker. Dear, breaking the fourth wall here, ladies and gentlemen. Dear, can you call the gentleman here? I'm going to queue up his number. Can you go in the other room? My wife is my wonderful secretary. Can you go ahead and give him a call and tell him to try and connect again, because I've lost him and I am rambling on my own and it's scary and I might pee my pants. So we're going to continue with what's going on until Papo makes his way back in the video, because you don't want to hear silence. It's not entertaining. So where were we? Daniel Bryan starts doing a series of yes chants during Roman Reigns' match. So this is the second time he breaks into this. Starts distracting the people. At one point, Kane actually attempts to choke slam Reigns onto the commentary table, or the announce table, if you will. And then Reigns kind of reverses his way out of it, and then spears him on the outside and rolls back into the ring just in time to make the count of 9, and then Roman Reigns wins by count out. Not the best way to win, but it kind of enhances that maybe he doesn't have all the experience in the world, but he has enough to at least get the advantage on his opponent and capitalize for the win. And again, I do want to stress that as much as I like Roman Reigns and Kane, I don't think that they're a good combination.
He's going to try and reconnect.
He's going to try and reconnect. I'm going to send it. Oh! Hey! What's up, you beautiful bastard? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? What's going on?
I can hear you.
Okay. Listen, you big bastard. I was just telling the people that if they make a donation, they can keep this shit from happening. And we just talked about the Roman Reigns stuff. So a little donation may go a long way at www.patreon.com/TedandPapo, don't you think?
Go ahead. Do it.
Do it now. So,
hey, Arnold, what's up, nigga?
So, we have a lot of shit to get through. So I'm just going to keep this ball rolling. We get a second Bray Wyatt promo. So remember the first promo, he has a nail. Second promo, he's got the aces and eights hammer. Would it be safe to say that's a ball peen hammer? So Bray Wyatt goes on to say his hands may have created the world, but mine will destroy it. Limbo is no place for a soul like yours. I'm waiting for you. If it wasn't clear to you before that he was talking about the Undertaker, I think you need to check your brain at the door, because by this point I think it's extremely clear. He keeps referring to the soul. He's referring to the soul of Undertaker, and he is the dead man. And yeah, I'm taking it as his reference to limbo means in this state where the streak is no longer valid, and he's just kind of hanging out, waiting to be put down. Do you think that's a fair assessment of what he's saying?
Definitely a fair assessment. I'm in total agreement with you, man.
Awesome. So Byron Saxton is standing outside the Divas locker room. The Bellas come out. He's trying to get a word with Paige. The Bellas are like, hee, we stole Paige's clothes. And I'm like, yeah, buddy. Naked Paige. I'm all about that shit. Unfortunately, Paige comes out in a towel. Boo.
Boo.
She says, Byron, where are my clothes? And he's like, those bitches stole them. And she asks to borrow Cameron's gear. Cameron's like, girl, bye. And then she sees the Exotic Express, Adam Rose's Rosebuds. She pulls one into the locker room with her. And I'm curious as to see what lickety-lackety shit was going on in there. But we get to see Paige of Summer Rae, and Paige comes out in that rosebud outfit, which is basically like a multicolored polka dotted tutu.
Awesome. Totally awesome.
You know what? She's still bangable. There's nothing that she could wear that makes her non-bangable, as far as I'm concerned.
Total agreement. Touche, bearded wonder.
Touche. Oh shit. I don't really want to talk about this match because it wasn't that long. It was about like 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The only things I did want to mention is that Paige won with the PTO, that modified Scorpion Crosslock, and we've talked about before at length how nasty that move is. Did you notice, this is something I heard, I'm just curious, did you hear Summer Rae calling spots at any point during the match, or was I just paying too close attention?
You're paying too close attention. I wasn't even that involved, for real.
Was it a pee break or a Candy Crush break?
At it.
All right.
I was waiting for a titty to pop out.
Titties! So, puppies! Look, Michael! Puppies! I'm combining Sherry Lawler and JBL. Michael. So, the Bellas come out and they're like, blah, 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 blah. We're bitches. Nikki Bella's got the title. And Paige is like, nah, bitches. I look good in anything, and I don't need an outfit to look good. I am fuckable. At least that's what I heard. Then we get a Sheamus video package. How much longer are we going to wait for Sheamus to come back? Do you think he makes his appearance at Fastlane or maybe the following Raw?
I would say I would predict for him to come out in Fastlane. Just pick a fight with somebody. I'm
in. We get a Seth Rollins promo, and he says a lot. But he basically says that he should be main eventing WrestleMania because he's the future, and he's the best. He's the best in the world at what he does, and he's not Chris Jericho. Dolph comes out. They have a little jive back and forth. Let's see. Dolph Ziggler calls him a, quote, whiny, protected, sellout douche. I popped for that. How much fun is it to hear someone being called a douche on television?
That is like instant gratification. That's like, how should I put it? The icing on the cake, if you will.
I will, and I love cake. Because my stomach is proof that I love cake. Now, he basically says, I'm going to do what I do best. Show off is basically what he says. And then we get Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler. I'm not going to get into the ins and outs because there's a number of spots there, but we got other stuff to cover. On the whole, Rollins versus Ziggler. Good, bad, fugly. What are we feeling here?
I'm feeling good. I mean, them two, they got chemistry. They got some awesome chemistry. Better chemistry than Cena and Rollins.
Man, that's tough. Yeah, you're probably. I think you're right. And Cena and Rollins, and that says a lot because I think Cena and Rollins really have good chemistry.
Yeah, them two can go and they know each other's strengths. I'm not going to say weaknesses. They know each other's strengths, and they play to them. And they make it look so good in the ring that you want to see what's going to happen next. We want to see the next reverse. We want to see the next power move. And these two, I mean, right now, they both are the future of the WWE.
I feel like this is kind of like a win-win feud. I like these guys. Yeah. I'm in agreement with you. They have really good chemistry, really good matches. These guys deserve to main event at least Monday Night Raw. My only concern is I feel like Dolph Ziggler should be doing more. Like at this point, Dolph Ziggler's been there for almost 10 years, right? I mean, he made his appearance when Chavo was doing the if it ain't white, if it ain't, what was it? He was doing the Kerwin.
Steel.
No, that was top tier Chavo. This was like low tier Chavo. This was the Chavo playing a white suburban golfer, and Ziggler was his caddy before the awesome Spirit Squad. And I say that in all seriousness because I'm one of the few people that actually liked the Spirit Squad. So long story short, Dolph's been here for almost 10 years, right?
Easy. Over 10 years.
There's a lot of people who feel differently, so I'm just curious. Do you think Dolph has what it takes to be not only a main eventer, but a top-tier performer, specifically world champion? Do you think he deserves to be world champion or at least a long-running world champion?
I believe he has all the tools needed for a world champion. I mean, there's some things that me personally would tweak in developing Dolph Ziggler, but at this right now, he's still in a developmental stage. So right now, I'm going to say no. Would
you give him more of an offense? Because it seems, and like he does it really well, right? The idea that he's, it's called playing Ricky Morton, because Ricky Morton, probably one of the greatest of all time as far as playing that babyface in peril, the good guy in danger. Is Dolph too good at doing that to the point where it hurts his ability to mount a significant offense?
Not really. I say that because it goes back to me saying that he's still developing as a main eventer. I mean, he has the tools. I would add to his arsenal as well as his defense. But again, he's on the road to become an awesome main eventer.
I see what you did there. I see. On the road to being a main eventer, on the road to WrestleMania. So this was a really good match. To me, the best part of the match was the really good false finishes at the end with the big 2 counts of this move and that move. But more importantly, Rollins used J&J security at the very beginning to get an immediate advantage on Ziggler. And they did a spot where they were literally about to beat up Ziggler while the ref's back was turned, only for the ref to turn around in time and eject both of them from the match, which I love it when valets, managers, security are ejected from the match. That's like some of the favorite shit I love, because then it in the eyes of the fans, it's supposed to immediately even the odds. And it basically did, because Ziggler legitimately had it beat until Noble and Mercury come out and they put the beating on Ziggler. Rollins loses via disqualification. An angry Triple H is watching backstage on a TV monitor. And then, oh no, there's no interference by, oh no, excuse me, Ryback and Rowan come to Ziggler's aid, and they do the deal where it's those three against Rollins and J&J, and then that's pretty much it. Now, is there anything you wanted to mention about that before we talk about this glorious Triple H segment?
No, I'm good. Let's keep this ball rolling.
Now, a lot is said in this Triple H segment, so I'm just going to basically distill it down to the main points. Triple H says that Sting is the personification of WCW, and Triple H himself is the personification of WWE. And this match was destined, whether it would have been during the invasion, when Vince McMahon bought WCW. And again, this is something that's said all the time and really annoys me. WCW did not go out of business, period. They didn't declare bankruptcy. They didn't go out of business. AOL Time Warner didn't want to be in the wrestling business and sold it to Vince McMahon. So I just have to get that off my chest because I hear it all the time, and it's bullshit. It's just like one of those revisionist history things that the WWE has to tell everybody, and then that gets repeated. It's like a lie that you keep saying over and over again, and everybody believes it. Like that Shawn Michaels kicked Marty Jannetty through the barbershop window. He didn't do that. If you go back and watch it, he kicked him, then he threw him through the window. So it's, you know what it's like, Papo? DX. When DX got, you know what I'm about to talk about. When they went to the Norfolk Scope to invade WCW, in the tank. Heavy quotation marks. Tank. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do.
It was clearly a Jeep, not a tank, yes?
It was a Jeep, not a tank.
I just have to get that off my chest. It's revisionist WWE history. That being said, woo! Nature Boy. He comes out to interrupt Triple H, and I gotta be honest, Papo, I don't know about your wife, but when my wife is in the room with me and I'm watching Raw, and Ric Flair gets on my TV, she gets sick of me because I start doing the woo and I start doing the strut, and if I had a jacket, I'd throw it off and start dropping elbows on it. I mark the fuck out when Flair shows up. So this was a high point of Raw.
Yes, it is, and I'm in total agreement. When the Nature Boy comes out, I'm in there, woo! And wife's like, shut up.
I think that's every wrestling fan's living room. Everybody's getting up and doing the woo, 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 and doing the strut, all the Ric Flair stuff. So basically, Triple H and Flair kind of go on a back and forth conversation. I'm not really getting into it because there's a lot that's said. It's like a 15-minute segment. Basically, Flair says, "Hey, Hunter, you've never wrestled Sting. I have. I've wrestled Sting all over the fucking planet. Okay, I wrestled Sting for almost 20 years. I know what this guy's capable of. You don't. I'm one of the few to have wrestled both of you, and I'm telling you, the Triple H that we have now, the COO, the guy who's not in the ring every week as a performer, doesn't have what it takes to beat Sting." In kayfabe, in storyline, do you think that's a safe thing for Flair to say, that Triple H isn't in ring shape enough to go the distance with Sting?
Well, I'm going to say yes. I mean, for a hot minute, we have Triple H just being behind the scenes, booking, being the authority, coming to the ring, clean cut, nice suits. And while he's doing that, we have Sting in TNA wrestling like a madman and still winning at that.
Hey, Triple H told us that Sting disappeared after WCW went out of business. And so as far as he's concerned, TNA doesn't even exist. It's not even a blip on the fucking radar.
Not even a blip.
So speaking of blips, terrible segue. These guys continue bantering back and forth, and ultimately Flair tells Triple H, "Look, you don't have what it takes. You right now, maybe you when you were an active performer, but you right now, you the corporate schmuck, you the suit and tie, can't get it done." Basically, I mean that's the gist of what he says. Triple H shoves Ric Flair, and I was disappointed. I want to see him punch him in the fucking face. As much as I love Flair, I think it would have added to the drama because, again, kind of a drama nerd. But so he says, "There's nothing that I love more than WWE outside of my wife and kids. I'm gonna beat Sting, and he's never gonna show his face again." This whole segment, the interaction between the two. First question. Do you think Flair had a few too many before coming out?
Do I think? Did you really ask me, do I think he had a few too many before going out?
I had to because every time Rick...
We know he takes it to the head, whatever they're drinking, and he goes out there, zippity doo dah, woo, all the way.
Well, the reason why I say that is because every time Flair makes a surprise appearance and my wife's with me, she always asks me, "Is he drunk?" And my response is, drunk Flair is the best Flair. If he's not wrestling, there's a really good chance that he is drunk off his Hall of Famer ass. But I loved it. So, pass or fail?
This segment was pass.
You're starting to cut out on me. Did you say that this segment was a pass?
This was highly entertaining. It was a pass. This segment was highly entertaining. Flair spoke.
Oh man, Papo, I think we lost you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Are you
Can you hear
using the?
me?
I can hear you, but you're coming in staticky. Are you using your PC or your iPad?
I'm using my iPod.
Okay.
The iPad's
I
the selfie.
Oh, now you're on an iPod. You're using all sorts of technology. Before our shit cuts out again, Papo, what'd you think about Damian Mizdow versus Bad News Barrett?
Let me tell you. Well, Ms. Dow, he put it down, and I tell you, with the whole Ms. executive assistant thing, it's getting dry now. It's getting really, really dry.
Really? I mean, this is only
Like
week 2 of the personal assistant stuff.
I'm done with it already, dude. After the buffing of the shoes, really? During a
Dude,
match?
the bell means stop.
Yeah, they said
Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling.
school bell ring. Booyaka, booyaka.
Stop it. So, um, what Pablo and I are referring to is that basically Damian Mizdow has a match with Bad News Barrett, and just before the match started, we saw the Miz and Barrett interacting, and Miz basically says, "Listen, you help me take Mizdow down a few pegs. I make sure Ambrose doesn't get you in that contract, right?" So basically, what happens is as soon as Mizdow starts getting in an offense on Barrett, Miz whips out his dinner bell and starts ringing it into the microphone. He says, "Bell means stop, bell." It's kind of like a Pavlovian trick. And he asked, as Papa referred to it, he asked Mizdow to come out and buff his shoe because he couldn't see his reflection. Total heel move. Miz buffs the shoe, and then he gets back in the ring. And then as soon as he does that, Miz says that there is a spot on his sunglasses and he needs them wiped clean. Miz now again goes to leave the ring to service his employer, and then he says, "No, it's fine. It was just a hair." And then he turns around and eats a bullhammer elbow by Bad News Barrett, allowing Bad News Barrett to pick up the win. I know you may be sick of it. I personally am not. I think we could get another week or two out of this. Um, was this at least a success as far as enhancing or advancing the story as far as the tension between Miz and Mizdow?
It was a pass in regarding the storyline with Miz and Mizdow. I'll give it that. But I'm just feeling that it's like really dry for me right now. They need to do something different. I would prefer maybe something on the lines where they do a tag team match and he lets Mizdow just take the complete beating and just
Didn't
stands
that
there.
didn't that happen when they faced the Ascension? Like, didn't he make sure that Mizdow was the one to take the fall? This would have been like 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Mm, something to that nature, but I want more.
You want to see Mizdow just get his ass unceremoniously kicked while Miz is celebrating, is what you're saying.
Correct.
I can dig it. Now, speaking of doing something different, spicing things up, we get my personal favorite contract signing of all time. So Papa, you know what I'm talking about. So basically, Ambrose came out earlier. He says that Bad News Barrett's been ducking him, and he's going to get that match. He's going to force him, no ifs, ands, or buts, he's going to get him to sign that contract. So basically what happens is that Ambrose must have been in the crowd, so he jumps the barrier, slides in the ring, attacks Barrett, and then zip ties his hand around the ring post. And he says, "You're going to sign it whether you like it or not." Booker T volunteers his personal pen, and then he puts the pen in Barrett's hands, and he kind of signs it himself while holding Barrett's hands, puts on the B and B. I got to be honest, I said before, this is my favorite contract signing. For you personally, where does this rank as far as contract signings that you've seen?
This was one of the most awesome contract signings I've ever seen. Where he was, technically it's binding because no,
He put pen to paper, right? He put his initials on there. That's good enough.
Yo, even though he had his hand, he did not forge it. He did sign it.
Dude, a lot of people are actually complaining about this, and the way I look at it as you're complaining about a contract signing in phony storyline pro wrestling. Like, to me, and I'm not belittling the toll that it takes on their bodies. I'm not saying that the injuries aren't legitimate, but these guys are playing pretend, right, for our enjoyment. And I got to be honest, I thought this was the best contract signing ever because it was different, right? It was something we've never seen before, and I think that's never a bad thing. So, different is never a bad thing in the world of professional wrestling because even if it doesn't look great, it at least makes you sit up and pay attention. Because when you normally see a contract signing, okay, here we're gonna go. These guys are gonna fight each other. Somebody's gonna get put through a table. No, we didn't even get. There was no table to be put through, and Ambrose doesn't give a fuck. It fits perfectly in with him being the lunatic fringe. Again, favorite contract signing of all time until he signs his world contract, world title contract, and does something equally as good, if not better. Papo, we're coming to the last Bray Wyatt promo of the night. So you and I know he's talking about Undertaker. I think anybody with a brain in their head that's been watching wrestling for, I don't know, longer than 60 seconds knows that he's talking about the Undertaker. And a lot of people have been saying that Bray Wyatt just kind of rambles, doesn't really say anything. You know what I say to that?
What do you say to that?
I call bullshit. Not only do I call bullshit because I listen, I type this shit down. This is in the notes, right? Every word
Right.
Bray Wyatt, every word that comes out of Bray Wyatt's fat mouth, and I say fat mouth lovingly because I have one too. Every word that comes out of his face is important. So for all those people who are like, "Oh, it's just humor," you're not paying attention. You're busy playing Candy Crush or looking up. You're watching that porno Night in China with X-Pac licking that penis-sized clit of China. Don't ask me. Maybe I saw it. Maybe I didn't. All right, you got me. I saw it. I'm gonna be coming clean. No pun intended. I saw that porno, and I didn't touch myself when I watched it. I might have touched somebody else. He was very nice. That being said, though, Bray Wyatt.
Wasn't me. He didn't touch me.
He says what shapes the heart that you know of. So Bray Wyatt, again, we know he's talking about The Undertaker. He says what shapes the heart of a man that can never truly die. I believe I found the answer, and the answer lives within me. The answer is the creature that lives behind my eyes. The answer? Bray Wyatt. Look around you, man. There is nowhere left to go. The angel with burnt wings cometh. It's time. And then, so in the promos leading up to this, he says, "Find me, come to me." This one, he's doing a little different. He says, "The angel with the burnt wings cometh. It's time. Find me, or I'll find you." Which one would you rather see? Wyatt finding Undertaker or Undertaker finding Wyatt?
Undertaker finding Wyatt.
I agree. Like I want Wyatt in the ring talking shit, and then the Undertaker just shows up and points at the WrestleMania sign. Listen, do you want to talk about Jimmy Uso versus Tyson Kidd? Do you want to talk about that at all, or can we just skip it?
Let's go ahead and skip it. It was very bland.
Spoiler, it's a mixed tag match. Naomi wins with a roll-up. That was what I felt about that match. And yes, that was hot air being expelled from my anus. There is one thing I wanted to mention. I'm trying to be entertaining, man. So I don't know about you. This is the only thing I want to say about this. I hate, I loathe and despise mixed tag matches in WWE because it doesn't fucking make sense. The whole point of a tag team match is that at any point, so long as you can get to your partner, you can tag them in and get a break. But if it's a mixed tag match, if a superstar tags in a diva, the other person has to automatically make a tag. To me, that takes away from the possibility of a hot tag and kind of diminishes the whole point of a tag team match in the first place. Am I wrong? Am I just being an angry wrestling fan who just has no life and has a wrestling podcast?
You are not wrong at all. It is fucking a waste of a fucking match.
Yeah, man, it's stupid, right? If the men can't wrestle the women.
And you know what? For that, they should have a tornado tag match. Have everybody in the ring, the girls versus the girls, the guys versus guys. Nobody gets fucking tagged. Just let them all fight at the same time.
I can do that. Or hey, don't book a tag match, right? Just book singles matches, and they can either gender can accompany their counterpart. So the only other thing I wanted to mention about this match is that Naomi wins with a roll-up, and after the match, Tyson Kidd yells at his wife Natalia, but Cesaro yells at his wife too. This was clearly, and it's a shame because I think Naomi and Natty could have had a much better match if they were given more time as a singles match. But Cesaro and Kidd yelling at Natalia, is it safe to say that was more entertaining than the match itself?
Yes, it was. That was the only entertaining part, and it wasn't even that entertaining. So.
Harsh words. So, speaking of entertaining, I want to get into the main event of Raw. We're only going to spend a few minutes there because afterwards we're going to transition, and we're going to get into our, we're going to get into our predictions for Fastlane. So, Papo, main event, Daniel Bryan versus Big Show. First question, before we even get into the match, how happy are you that we didn't get Daniel Bryan versus Kane?
Man, I am so sick of them two in the ring. Go on with the match, damn it.
Dude, a perfect example of this, remember, it wasn't that long ago where you and I were talking about Alberto Del Rio and Dolph Ziggler. And those two guys are good. And those two guys put on good matches and they're entertaining. But when you repeat something so many fucking times, I would skip those matches. And I do my best not to skip matches that Daniel Bryan's in because I'm a shameless Daniel Bryan mark. And I think he's just that good he can have a good match with fucking anybody. Him and Big Show had a pretty good match. I mean, is it safe to say that this was this better than Roman Reigns' match?
This was better than Roman Reigns' match.
So the majority of the match, Daniel Bryan's actually working Big Show's leg. And this match makes sense because him and Big Show do have history together, right? So it's not just some random match thrown together. The only problem that I really had with this match, and I wanted to get your opinion on this, is that leading up to this match, Daniel Bryan had an interview with Renee Young backstage. And he basically said what he said on commentary during the Reigns match, is that Reigns getting distracted is because he's inexperienced. I've wrestled all over the world for 15 years. I have the experience that would prevent me from falling for something so stupid. And then, guess what? Roman Reigns is signing autographs and taking selfies and throwing out free T-shirts, and Daniel Bryan is distracted. So, to me, I don't have a problem with Daniel Bryan being distracted by what Roman Reigns was doing. My only problem is that he said that he wouldn't fall for that trick, and he fell for that shit. To me, it just makes him look like a punk, and that he's all talk, and he's not as good as we think he is. Or, at the very least, that he says he is. And ultimately, it makes him a liar, does it not?
Yes, it does. Liar!
And the last thing I think it's safe to say that when you're talking about a babyface, when you're talking about a good guy, whether it's in wrestling, whether it's in movies, comic books, novels, whatever, what have you, television shows, your hero, your protagonist, has to be not only one that you can empathize with, but the protagonist has to play a certain role in the sense that if he tells you he's going to do something, he has to do something, right? So it's one thing for the bad guy to lie, because we can reconcile that because, well, he's a chicken shit, or, well, you know, he's not the best and he's not the best of the best, you know, whether it's, you know, feeding off the reaction from the crowd and their energy and what have you. But ultimately, for Daniel Bryan to say I won't be distracted and then got distracted, to me, it's a small thing. It's me being picky, but it just really got under my skin because it doesn't help his case. It makes him look like an idiot. And then we get to the best part of the match, which is actually right at the end. There's a spot where Big Show and Bryan are both on the outside. And Big Show goes to spear Bryan, but Bryan moves out of the way and ends up spearing Roman Reigns, which takes Roman Reigns out for like a good 5-6 minutes, I'm going to say. And then basically Daniel Bryan doesn't necessarily have Big Show beat, but he has Big Show in a position where he can win definitively. Like he's about 9/10 of the way to winning the match, and then Reigns comes in and punches Big Show in the mouth, only for Daniel Bryan to lose via disqualification. Do you think that's a legitimate finish to this main event as far as advancing the story between Bryan and Reigns, as far as their I don't want to say feud, but it's not even really infighting, but their lack of respect for each other, and they just want to kick each other's ass. Does this finish help promote that?
Yes, it does. And it's going to lead into a nasty grudge match come WWE's Fast Lane.
Oh, you got to throw that WWE in there because God knows there's so many different versions of Fastlane. That was a thing that I noticed during this show, and you and I talked about it before we went live, is that for some crazy reason, they just had to specify. It's not just Fastlane. It's WWE Fastlane. That would be like, hey, it's not just the Royal Rumble. It's WWE Royal Rumble. Not just WrestleMania. It's WWE WrestleMania. Because, of course, you know, that's being repeated by someone else. Sarcasm.
Oh, yeah. So this Sunday, I'm going to watch KFC Fastlane.
Real talk, I would watch it, but I'm kind of a Popeyes guy myself.
Oh, I love me some Popeyes too.
Oh man, now I'm kind of drunk now, and I'm gonna make the wife go out and get me some Popeyes. It's happening. So basically, they're promoting it's not really a split because Bryan and Reigns aren't a team, but they're promoting the tension between the two. And the match ends, and they kind of get into a shoving match. They start to brawl. Did you notice that Norman Smiley and Bill DeMott were there to break them up?
No, I didn't notice. I'm going to have to go back and take a look at that.
Someone actually pointed out Norman Smiley to me. I didn't see him, but someone mentioned that. I can clearly say that I easily did see Bill DeMott. And I've been playing the WWE 2K15, and spoiler alert, if you haven't played that game, you will get yelled at a lot by Bill DeMott in the game.
Yeah. He's a douche in the game.
You'll be kicking someone's ass in the game, and he'll be like, come on, that's not what they want to see. You could do better. This is ridiculous. And it's like, Bill, I just did a shooting star press from the top rope for the win. What do you want from me? Bill DeMott, a.k.a. Hugh Morris, a.k.a. Oh, God, didn't he have another name in WCW? Wasn't he like Major Dick or something? No, he was General Hugh G. Rection. Or Major Hugh G. Do you remember that? It was at the very end. It was like in the dying days of the WCW.
WCW didn't die, it just got bought out. You went off in a tangent on that shit.
God damn it, I've been drinking. You can't hold me responsible, officer.
I'm not as drunk as you think I am.
Hey, listen. Escúcheme.
Escuchando.
Dude, whatever. I'm gonna have a fucking burrito after this, so fuck it.
No
Racist.
Popeyes?
Shit, I wanna get a burrito. I wanna get a fucking tortilla, and I wanna get some Popeyes and just roll that shit up into a tortilla. What do you say?
I gotta send you a picture of the El Nino.
El Nino or Il
El,
Nino, like the band?
El Nino. ELNINO. I'll send you the picture later. So let's get this ball rolling and finish
Would
up
it?
this.
Hey, would it make you feel old if I told you that El Nino storm happened when I was like going into middle school? Does that make you feel old?
No, not really, because the El Nino I'm thinking about will make you have the most awesome heartburn you'll ever have in your life.
Oh, it's food?
Yes.
Oh, I could put food in my fat face all day. But let's not go off on a tangent. Long story short, Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan just beat the shit out of each other after that match. And I gotta say, if I wasn't sold on their match before, this interaction did it for me. Is it safe to say that this was enough? Because a lot of times you'll see that guys don't interact with each other, right? And I think in certain circumstances that's perfect, where guys don't fight. But here, this is a perfect example of like, no, fuck it, these guys can fight, and that's okay because they're gonna steal the show at Fastlane.
Yeah, this should be an interesting match since it's also a grudge match. And so these guys are not going to hold anything back at all. This is going to be awesome.
Well, speaking of things being awesome and interesting matches, that was the end of Raw. But we want to talk about the Payback match predictions. Now, these are the matches that are listed currently. And just before we get into that, I do want to mention one more time. If you haven't already, comment, like, subscribe, tell your friends, have them two friends, and they'll tell two friends, and maybe who knows, we'll all get together and have a circle jerk. On top of it,
Yeah.
if you like what you see here, in all seriousness, and I am kind of drunk, so bear with me. In all seriousness, if you enjoy any of this, and you got a ducat or two, you got some jingle jangle, maybe maybe you got paper stacks real high. I don't know. I'm really trying with the slang. I'm no good at it. All I'm saying is, if maybe after you pay your rent and your car note and your car insurance, and you got a little extra, and you're just like, I got money, I want to give it to somebody, you know what? We could use it. And the reason why is this stuff that you've seen during the video where we're cutting in and out, you throw us a bone or two, that's going to prevent that from happening. We're going to buy better software. We're going to use a better platform. We're also going to get microphones. We're going to get pop filters so our P's and T's don't pop so bad. We're going to get mic stands. We're going to get all sorts of stuff, and that can be done if you help us meet our Patreon goal. Again, that link is going to be down in the description box, but if you're not looking in the box right now, it's patreon.com/TedandPapo. And is spelled A-N-D. It's spelled out, not the symbol. So, again, if you like what you see and you want to donate, go for it. I'm not telling you you have to, but it would really fucking go a long way. And it would be super appreciative. On top of it, we'll give you a shout-out. We'll be like, hey, this guy's a boss. He gave us some money. Follow this guy on Twitter and shit. Now, that being said, we're going to talk about our predictions for Fastlane because we are just at the end of our show today. So, Papo, we're going to go over the matches that are listed currently on WWE.com. I'm sure they're going to add a few more last minute. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to list these out. I'm going to ask you for your prediction, and then I'll give mine. You ready?
Let's go.
Starting with the first one, we've got a Divas title match between Nikki Bella versus Paige. Nikki Bella is going into the match as champion. Who's your prediction?
Paige.
I'm in agreement with you. I have Paige as well. I think Paige is going to take it. Next up, we have the United States title match. Rusev going in as the champion, being accompanied by Lana versus John Cena. Who wins, in your opinion?
Rusev retains the title.
I think that's an important distinction that you mentioned. Not so much that Rusev wins, but Rusev retains the title. Because it's very possible, and I'm in agreement with you as far as how you said it, because Rusev could just retain by a disqualification, by a count out, by whatever. I'd prefer to see John Cena tap out. You know, when he comes out and says, people are asking me when I'm going to change, I'm not going to change. If he taps out as the man who never gives up, that would add more depth to the character. Not because I want to see John Cena lose per se, but I feel like if he were to do this, if he were to tap out in the Accolade, that would make him interesting for once. Because John Cena, to me, has not been interesting in almost an entire fucking decade. We got the tag team match. It's for the tag team titles. It's the Usos as champions versus the team of Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. Papo, who do you got to walk away as champion?
The Usos.
Okay, so this is going to be the first spot where we disagree. I'm going to say Kidd and Cesaro take it. Matter of fact, I'm going to say every title but the U.S. title changes hands. How about that? I'm going to say that Kidd and Cesaro come out the victories, because I think it would just benefit them more than anybody else. And, then the Usos can chase them and get it back and blah, blah, blah. Because I do see the Usos being champions for a long time. So I think what they'll do is that somebody will beat the Usos, and then they'll feud, and then the Usos will get the win back and the titles, and then they can just rotate different teams in and out. So I'm going to say Kidd and Cesaro are your new tag team champions. Let's talk about the Intercontinental title match. Bad News Barrett versus Dean Ambrose. Who do you see coming out with the belt?
Dean Ambrose.
I'm with you 100%. Although it's unfortunate that it seems like whoever holds the Intercontinental title seems to lose it to practically everybody, including Sin Cara. But you know what? I think that if there was anyone who could make the Intercontinental title mean a little bit more, aside from Dolph Ziggler, I say Dean Ambrose is your guy, right? And he hasn't had a real win. I mean, sure, he's got a win here and there in the past couple of Raws, but he hasn't had a real defining, clean victory that meant something. He needs a win, and I'm going to say he gets that win, and you're with me on that. Before we get to the main event, we got Triple H and Sting. I'm a firm believer that this is really just going to be a talking segment. I'm not so sure that Sting actually talks. I'm tempted to believe that he just points. What's going on? Can you not hear me?
No. This is all you're going to see. This is all you're going to see. And then he started chewing on my head.
I don't get it. Is that like a Beetlejuice sandworm? Are you reading Dune? What's going on? What's biting your head?
This is what you're doing. This is what we're going to see. This is what I want to see.
What? Sorry, show me what you want to see again. You cut out there for a second.
This is what I want to see. I don't want to hear them talking. I want to see them fighting. I want to see Triple H and Sting just go and start punching each other in the face.
You want to see some fisting action.
I want to see somebody get their ass kicked.
I'm with you. I don't think it's really going to happen though. I think we're going to get the typical pro wrestling trope where Triple H and Sting don't physically interact, but they stare. Well, you know what? That's not true because they did interact at was it the Royal Rumble? Survivor Series? No, Survivor Series. Where Sting hit him with the Scorpion Death Drop. I'd like to see Sting talk, but then just as much, I'd rather prefer him just point to the WrestleMania sign. Either way, I think that's going to be entertaining. I'm just curious to see where that goes in the order of events. If that's going to be like the popcorn match spot to make sure people don't leave their seats, I don't know. But then we have the creme de la creme, the main event, Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. The winner of this match secures a spot in the WrestleMania main event at WrestleMania 31 in, I believe, San Jose or San Francisco, one of those places. And you know what? In the comment section down below, correct me. Tell me whether it's going to be. Tell me that I'm a fat fuck and I'm an idiot because I'm getting my shit wrong and I've been drinking too much. But Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. Winner faces Brock Lesnar. Main event, WrestleMania 31. Papo. Who's going over?
I'm going to go with Roman.
As much as it pains me to say this, I'm going to agree with you. I think Roman Reigns goes over clean. Maybe we get a handshake after the match. Just because I don't see... And I want to be clear. If there's anybody on the roster that I would prefer to have a match with Brock Lesnar, to me, the money match is Daniel Bryan. Just because the story writes itself. Nobody beat him for the title. It was stripped of him, right? It's the ultimate. It's with the exception of Rey Mysterio, it's the ultimate underdog story, and that means money. But I don't think they're going that way, despite as much as I'd like it to be. So I'm going to agree with you. Roman Reigns goes over, gets the win, and then main events at WrestleMania with Brock. One last question. There's been some rumors circling the interwebs that seem to keep stating that there's a possibility of Reigns, Bryan, Lesnar as a triple threat at Mania. Do you think there's any chance of that, or it's going to be, or if it's going to be one-on-one?
I would like to see a one-on-one, but I got a feeling also that it's going to be a triple threat match.
It wouldn't surprise me, but I feel like they've already kind of committed to Roman Reigns' storyline, so adding Daniel Bryan would, I mean, as much as I would like it, would take away from what they're trying to do with Roman. Papo, I think we are out of shit to talk about. What do you think about that?
Hey, we broke down China.
We spent the night in China.
We spent the night in China. One of the primetime players came out the closet. We gave you Raw. We gave you Fastlane. We gave you our Patreon account. So,
you know what we forgot to mention?
What we forgot
Papo, I hate to cut you off. We forgot to mention this, and I'm only going to spend about 2 seconds talking about it. Darren Young was going to have a match against the Ascension with some random local jobber number one, and instead, Titus O'Neil comes to the aid of what's-his-face, Darren Young. Do you think we're going to get to see the primetime players back as a unit?
I see them back as a unit, and their first target is going to be the Ascension. So, I mean, we'll see if that comes together at Fastlane.
I think that both Titus O'Neil and Darren Young are talented, but I don't think either one is talented enough to be a single star. But I think as a tag team, they have really good charisma, they have really good chemistry, and they work very well. They look better as a tag team than as opposed to single stars. Ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it for the show. Again, if you could please comment in the box that says comments down below, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. You can visit our Patreon page if you're interested in making a donation. It would really help us out, help us purchase better equipment, increase the production value. That's patreon.com/TedandPapo. The end is not the symbol. It is spelled out. TedandPapo. Boom. Go there. And if you're that lazy, just go in the description box. It's already there. I put it there because I'm a boss and pretty drunk. Papo, I think that's it. Is there anything else we got to get to before we get this motherfucker out of here?
Thank you for watching. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and peace, love, and chicken grease. We will see you next week on episode 39, coming at you, reviewing Fastlane as well as the following Monday Night Raw. Ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Papo, hit those applauses. Oh, wait, no, you're not on the PC anymore, are you?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, pretend there's a sound effect. Good night, everybody.